death, a 79-year-old female from Boone County. The 6,814th death, an 85-year-old female from Logan County. The 6,815th death, a 76-year-old female from Pleasants County. The 6,816th death, a 90-year-old male from Hancock County. The 6,817th death, an 84-year-old male from Pendleton County. The 6,818th death, a 37-year-old female, the 6,818th death, a 37-year-old male from Wood County. The 6,819th death, a 51-year-old female from Raleigh County. The 6,820th death, an 85-year-old female from Hancock County. The 6,821st death, a 97-year-old female from Fayette County. The 6,822nd death, a 66-year-old female from Monongalia County. The 6,823rd death, an 84-year-old male from Raleigh County. The 6,824th death, an 89-year-old male from Webster County. The 6,825th death, a 69-year-old male from Monongalia County. The 6,826th death, a 54-year-old male from Clay County. The 6,827th death, an 81-year-old female from Mercer County. The 6,828th death, a 78-year-old female from Wyoming County. The 6,829th death, a 91-year-old female from Berkeley County. This is really, really sad. A 6,830th death, a 32-year-old male from Harrison County. The 6,831st death, a 72-year-old male from Nicholas County. The 6,832nd death, an 80-year-old female from Mason County. The 6,833rd death, a 75-year-old male from Hardy County. The 6,834th death is an 89-year-old female from Berkeley County. And the 6,835th death in West Virginia is a 74-year-old male from Wetzel County. The good thing of the 41 today, 25 of them are reconciliations, so I do believe we're still really moving in the right direction, but please don't let these people become a number. That's all in the world I can say. Active cases today at 376. New cases today at 95. It's incredibly low compared to where we've been. Our daily percent positivity rate is at 1.21. Cumulative positive rate is at 8.22. Recovered cases are 490,653. There's 148 people hospitalized in West Virginia on COVID, and 42 in the ICU units, and 18 of them are on ventilators. Every county in the state's green. We've been that way a few days. We want to absolutely keep that up. Here's a real surefire way how you can keep it up. I want you to pay real close attention to this. Yesterday, the CDC expanded eligibility for all additional booster doses for certain individuals who may be at a higher risk of severe outcomes from COVID, and people over the age of 50 can now get an additional booster 4 months after their prior dose to increase their protection further. Now look, for crying out loud, if you have been vaccinated, fully vaccinated, 2 shots, got a booster shot, you know, now if you're 4 months out from that and you're 50 years of age or older, or you are of the higher risk, a higher risk person, you really need to get this 4th shot. And that's all there is to it. If you haven't taken the booster shot, I don't think that's wise. I just don't think it's wise. And really and truly, if you don't get this shot and it's available to you, and run and get it right now, and you're 4 months out from your booster, that's not wise either. These vaccines are incredibly safe, and we know that. We know that. We're living proof of that. And absolutely, you just can't take a chance. You can't take a chance. I know we read 2 individuals that were in their 30s here, but besides that, overwhelmingly, Everybody 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, overwhelmingly. If you're over 50, you ought to be going to get this shot. So, nevertheless, take advantage. Please take advantage. The new vaccine calculator that WVU, Dr. Marsh came up with and everything is all, is now up, and it can be, I guess you can, West Virginians can access the calculator at vaccinate.wv.gov. Okay, I've told you about all your booster shots and stuff like that. We continue to make a little more progress. Of the 5 and older now, we're at 66% of all 5 and olders in the state of West Virginia that have received at least one shot. All the information on our vaccine info line is up on our website. I remind you about getting tested and taking advantage of the free testing if you have any symptoms whatsoever. Absolutely, our long-term care facilities are moving in the right direction. We're down to 43 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities. We have no outbreaks in our church community, and get these numbers. In corrections, instead of being hundreds and hundreds, in fact, at one time I think we were over 1,000. We now have 6 inmate cases and 1 staff case. Good work by a lot of people. I've talked to you about the rental assistance program and how landlords can apply. Absolutely, how renters can apply. There's still dollars there. You need to absolutely take advantage if you're a landlord or a renter. And I've also talked to you about the new Homeowner Assistance Program. This is for homeowners in the state of West Virginia. The program is now officially open, and this program can really put some major dollars back in your pocket if you're struggling with your mortgage payments, utilities, past due insurance, property taxes, other housing costs. Now get this, if you're struggling with your past due mortgage payments up to $15,000, maybe we can get that to you. Past due utilities, $2,500. Past due insurance and tax payments, and other housing costs up to $5,000 or more. If you qualify, take advantage. It's just going to pump more dollars into our system in this state, and that is helpful to all of us, and it absolutely helps these individuals out big time. Giving blood, please consider. There's lots and lots of blessings going on all across this great state, and if you've survived this terrible, dreaded disease, check with your physician about the possibility of you giving blood. Our Jump Start program, let me tell you something about our Jump Start program. Yesterday, I was going through a drive-through window, one of the fast food places. Probably shouldn't have been doing that, but I was doing it and everything, just picking up just something. And 2 ladies that were there, 2 of the ladies that were there, they said, do you know we've been back to work now, one of them for 6 weeks, and one of them had been back to work since October. And they're looking and they're hopeful of getting this $1,500 Jump Start check. They referenced that right off the get-go. And they said, we hadn't been working, and we came back to work, or we got into the workforce. I can't recall exactly what they did. Here's the question that I asked them. Are you happy to be back to work? And both of them said, you dadgum right. I feel so much better. Absolutely, you dadgum right. And they were excited as they could be, and they were just as friendly and happy acting as they could possibly be. Just maybe. Maybe if we don't reach anybody else, we reach 2. What are 2 worth? That give a real feeling of accomplishment and pride. Our Jump Start program, $1,500, that may absolutely get them on their way in their life, and we need them. We need them. Our businesses need them. Tickled me to death, to tell you the truth. Really proud of those ladies. I hear something that would just blow you away. And it's, when you walk into something and it's not running very well, and then all of a sudden, all the right buttons are pushed by lots of people, but you've been the coach and you've been the leader of the band. And all of a sudden the engine starts running and it starts working. And that's what's happened with West Virginia. And now the engine is really running. There was a time when I came in front of you and I stood up and said, I'm going to take you on a rocket ship ride. And there's lots of people that thought, there's no way. What in the world is he talking about? You know, we've been West Virginia forever and we'll be West Virginia forever. But I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it at all. Now, can you just imagine this? That we, in the month of March now, another record. How many more records are we going to have? I hope to goodness that I can just continue to pump out record after record after record. And you know what I hope? I hope we can rub it in the face of those that didn't believe and rub it in the face of people out of state that have told all the bad jokes about West Virginia. Because West Virginia, you are doing fantastic. That's all there is to it. In the month of March, we were $150.1 million above budget in 1 month. I mean, do you remember when I, brought out the Lays and all the stuff and when we were $32 million above budget in the month of July? And then I think we were $32 million again in the month of August, and together the 2 months totaled really $65 million because there's 32,600 or whatever, and 32, 450 or whatever, but it was 65 total. Now, with all that being said, now just think about it. Think about it. 150.1 million in the month of March, and year to date now, we are at $740 million above budget. It is amazing, beyond belief. Now, and so there's no point in me going through all the little details and everything here, but you've got, I'm going to just touch on just a couple. Severance tax naturally are way up. The personal income tax is off the chart, way up. Consumer sales tax 11% ahead of last year. Corporate net income tax is significantly up. I mean, it's just all across the board. And so we just are going to keep this thing rolling and everything, and there's no question. I don't care what anybody says. Not only are we on the rocket ship ride, we're kicked back and really enjoying the ride. We want to make sure and manage the store properly and set ourselves up in West Virginia for decades and decades of goodness to come. We owe our young people that. We owe all those that are going to come behind us just that and everything. Now, we got this thing really going. We don't want to be frivolous and just throw the money away. We want to be smart, really, really smart. So I challenge all of us to not drop the ball, not get in our own way, but really and truly, this is unbelievable, and this is really great stuff. I did veto 5 bills, just to touch on real quick, House Bill 2020, I felt like that we hastily got it through, and we surely need to do some more work in regard to really getting some real experts in. Naturally we want to improve DHHR in every way, and I stand behind that, and in every way. But with all this, we sure don't want to do something to where we could stub our toe and lose some of our federal funding and really hurt a bunch of people, because they depend on us. I mean, they really, really depend on us. And so we're going to get it right. And when we get it right, we'll move forward. But I can't see moving forward, with a 2 or an 8-page bill, on an agency that expands all across the universe like DHHR does. I also vetoed House Bill 4001. It's in regard to broadband. Everybody here knows I am excited as I can possibly be about broadband. It is absolutely going to be our future in every way. It's just another one of our, highways that we need to work on in every direction. And with all of this, we'll get all this straightened out. we're going to get this straightened out in our special session that is coming up in about 30 days, and everything. There's just some technical flaws in what we had, and we had really an uprising, from many of the business leaders, many of the providers that are going to be putting the broadband out and doing all the different stuff, that said that this is a big time mistake, and we're going to really, really stub our toe. And so had to veto that, but we'll get all that straight, and we'll get it straight real soon. Economic development will be working really, really hard with the legislative leadership, and we'll get everything right to where we can move forward in the correct way. There was two other bills, House Bill 2300 and Senate Bill 573. We vetoed purely because of technical issues and everything, and Senate Bill 729, which was intended to create a self-sustaining fund with the West Virginia Economic Development Authority. We also vetoed it because it had several technical errors as well, and we hope to revisit that immediately, and probably in the special session, and get this to where it just the rough edges are knocked off of it, and then we get it on through and everything, and it'll just be a better bill. From the standpoint of a judge that we were going with, it was Judge Nickerson, Donald A. Nickerson Jr., who I appointed, as one of the judges of the intermediate court and everything, to the longest term and everything. We appreciate, his consideration and everything. He's decided to back away from that. I think, that when he got really into it and everything and looked at all the requirements and whatever like that, he decided that, it was in his best interest from a financial standpoint and other considerations. I'm sure that he decided to decline. I have formally now requested the West Virginia Judicial Vacancy Advisory Commission to reopen the application process and solicit new names, as well as, we still can consider the names that we already had. But we appreciate Donald Nickerson for his consideration, and we'll move forward on that. Okay, here's a wonderful announcement. The old Milan plant, that WVU announced yesterday, that WVU Innovation Corporation has officially taken ownership of the former Milan plant. Now, when Beatrice announced, that they were packing up and leaving, I thought it was shallow, and I think, thought it was just not good. Because we all know what they're doing. I mean, really and truly, they're going to go overseas, make the drugs. The drugs are probably going to be inferior to how they were, well, we know how they were made here and everything, make them with cheap labor and ship them back here. And, we all know that, and it wasn't good. They did make a commitment that they would work with WVU, and so the two parties continued to work together, and so finally, we're at a conclusion here on at least the buildings. And so WVU, I am very, very confident with all the great stuff that's going on at WVU today, that many, many good things are about to happen in those buildings, and it's just a crying shame as to what happened, and so we're going to keep doing what I said. All these problems are not simple. You just don't just boom and they get solved. You keep working it, and you just work it and work it and work it, and try to be as smart as you can possibly be about it. But we're knocking them down. We're knocking them down one right after another, and we appreciate WVU. We appreciate Beatrice, still working with us and all this and everything. But according to the WVU announcement, discussions are already underway with potential tenants to lease space within the 1.1 million square foot facility. So all that's good news, and we thank WVU in every way. Here's something that's really, really neat. Klockner is, the manufacturing plant that they put in at Beaver, it's knocking it out of the park in every way, and all of a sudden now, it has been named their worldwide plant of the year for productivity. It's unbelievable. It is just unbelievable. When people on the outside, I have said it 1,000 times, when people on the outside that thought we were the backward or the poor or a state that just had no hope of doing anything, when they get a taste of West Virginia, they'll see craftsmen, they'll see faith-based, good people, hard-working people, people that don't mind getting their hands dirty, and people absolutely that appreciate the opportunity that others bring when they come to this state. And bingo, there it is, right in front of you. The plant that we just announced, and you know, back in November of 2020. November of 2020, here they came. And literally in Beaver, West Virginia, that they've been named by Klockner as their worldwide plant of the year for productivity. Doesn't surprise me a bit. You know, now what they're going to do, they're going to expand more in West Virginia. Absolutely, it just keeps happening and happening, and I knew it would happen. I knew it all along. You know why I knew it? Because I believed in you. I believed in you with all my soul. I knew how good you were. I had seen you every day of my life, and without any question, you just keep making me proud. Now, I've got to read a little bit to you here, but you know, April Fool's is today. And my communications people, they came up with all kinds of stuff and everything. And some of it was a little, probably a bit over the edge. And so I'm not going to go there with you, but I'm going to read this to you because, you know, they've also brought me this. It says, speaking of April Fool's jokes, I saw an article in a publication called #West Virginia, and they said that they said they did an exclusive interview with me, and I wanted to read some of it, you know, throughout all the discussions and everything, that I would be reading some of it to you. It says, Governor Justice, in quotes, said, it's time for West Virginia to share all the goodness that we do here with the entire universe. So that's why we're going to do, and we're going to promote just this. We're going to reach out to the entire universe and share with the universe how West Virginia is doing. It says, Governor Justice, who proudly takes claim to being one of the state's most popular governors, that he absolutely has the facts now on his side. He says, I'm proud of you, West Virginia. I'm proud of your effort. My dad would always have said, don't confuse effort with accomplishment. But we've accomplished a lot of greatness in West Virginia now. But now it's time to go even farther. So as your governor, I couldn't be more prouder than to tell you right now that we are sending Baby Dog into space. Now, this wasn't my writing or my people's writing. This was another individual's writing. It says, West Virginia's space program has been 100% funded by me under the project name Operation Wind Beneath My Wings. Gosh. Oh, my. I'll probably get in trouble on that one. But make no mistake, Baby Dog, as has been the governor's cherished pet, will not be making the trek to the stars. In her place, there'll be an unknown space flyer named West Virginia's first pup. Should Operation Wind Beneath My Wings prove successful, the Baby Dog space flyer will complete 2 full orbits around the planet while simultaneously broadcasting Take Me Home Country Roads in 59 languages. When asked why the flesh and blood Baby Dog would not be on board instead of the space flyer in her place, Governor Justice replied that if Baby Dog would have gone and I would have put her up into space, Kathy would have killed me. But I hope you had a little bit of humor from that and everything, and don't get too carried away with, April Fool's Day, but, I tell you, West Virginia, I'm really proud. You're doing really good. Just keep it up. Everybody just keep pulling the rope together. We're going to make this happen in every way. We're going to run across the finish line together. We're not going to run across the finish line just as Republicans or just as Democrats or independents. We're not going to run across the finish line, you know, black, white, rich, poor, union, non-union. We're going to run across the finish line as West Virginians. And so just keep it up. And more than anything, please keep all those folks that we've lost in this terrible pandemic in your prayers, and get your booster shots. Get your shots. The vaccines are safe. Get your shots. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Governor. Dr. Clay Marsh, our coronavirus czar, and Dr. Ayn Amjad, our state health officer, are also joining us today and are available for questions. Secretary Bill Crouch and retired Major General Jim Hoyer had prior engagements today and will rejoin us next week. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Dr. Marsh, could you tell us a little bit about the symptoms that BA.2 are showing among folks and how they differ from what we've seen among the previous variants? Thank you.
Good for me to go, Governor?
Go, please, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Charles. So the BA.2 variant of COVID-19, the Omicron variant, that is now the major variant in the U.S. and has caused a lot of problems in European countries, has a bit of a different profile, Charles, than the Delta variant. But much like the previous Omicron variant that we just got finished with, the BA.1 variant, that people tend to have more sore throats. They may have sinus congestion and headaches, but at least in South Africa, where we really documented the Omicron variant the most completely, about 40% or so of those infections were relatively asymptomatic. So a lack of symptoms seems to be something that's more prevalent with the Omicron variant, both the BA.1 and the BA.2. But because it really settles in your throat, a sore throat would be the other symptom to pay attention to. In Europe, at the time that the BA.2 variant and the BA.1 variant both were most prevalent, then their finding was that basically people that felt like they had colds were oftentimes diagnosed with either one of these variants. So these are less specific. Delta gave you more loss of smell and taste and maybe more respiratory problems. These variants give you more sore throat and sinus congestion, but really more like the common cold.
All right, thank you, Charles. Next, we'll go to Bob Aaron with WCHS and Fox 11.
Governor, I'm going to shift gears for a second. Yesterday, President Biden decided to release, I believe it was 180 million barrels of oil from the strategic reserve. That's had about a penny impact so far on the price of gasoline, if that's what is in fact doing it. Do you anticipate any kind of a call for the special session related to the state gas tax, or anything else other than what you've put on the agenda so far?
Bob, I haven't had any requests, from legislatures for a special session in regard to this and everything, except just a very, very, very few. Bob, there's just so many ramifications. Like I said, we could talk about this a long time, but at the end of the day, we know people are hurting. And I want to try to help in any way I possibly can help anyway. But in addition to that, Bob, there's all kinds of technicalities from the standpoint of these dollars are going in the Roads to Prosperity programs and fixing slips and ditches and all kinds of different things every single day. And the net of the whole thing is just look at just what's happened. We're releasing, I think, is it 180 million barrels of gasoline, of oil right now from our strategic oil supplies? I mean, think about that now. We're going to do that, I think, at 1 million barrels a day or 1 million gallons a day, and it moves the price of gasoline a penny. You know, at the end of the day, Bob, honestly, if Joe Biden wanted to move gasoline prices, or we're going to be strapped with these outrageous prices forever and a day, if we want to move the price of gasoline prices and everything, why on God's earth are we not really running with Donald Trump's energy independent plan or some variation of energy independence? Without any question in this country, we have the ability to do that. The ability to have the cheapest energy maybe there is in the whole world, right here. The cheapest gas, I think, maybe in the world is right here in West Virginia. And absolutely, we're getting the door slammed on us every way you can turn. It doesn't make one bit of sense. Now, we can absolutely Band-Aid something. And, you know, and really and truly, at the end of the day, if our legislature comes back to me and says, this is what we want to do and everything, I'll gladly sign it, gladly sign it. But there's no possibility you can take these dollars out of the contingency fund, the governor's contingency fund. There's not enough dollars in the governor's contingency fund to be able to do it. You know, maybe for a few days, but then it becomes, you know, a Band-Aid for cancer. You know, and at the end, and with all of that, it doesn't really cure anything. We want to cure something. Unless this nation, we want to struggle through outrageous, beyond belief, outrageous gas prices forever. We best better become energy independent. And I'd say one other thing, Bob, and just stay with me just one more second. We think things are bad right now. You know, the weakness in Ukraine and all across the globe, everything that happened in Afghanistan and everywhere else, the weakness that we have as a nation across, or percepted weakness that we have, the perception of weakness that we have all across this globe has us, whether you buy it or not buy it, and we can't go to sleep at the switch, we could be right on the verge of potential, a conflict that could lead to World War III. I do not think that at all, but it could. It could happen. Now, if that be the case, Bob, we're going to sit back and absolutely, instead of debating, you know, how we can help out just a little bit in a very, very short window and everything, and maybe disrupt, you know, repairing our roads and all the different things there, and instead of just jumping and being penny wise and pound poor, you know, just think of what we could really be facing. What do you think our energy costs are going to be if this conflict broadens? You know, we're sitting around saying, oh my gosh, you know, oil has gone to $100 a barrel. And there were some people that were thinking, you know, who knows? It could go to $200 a barrel, $250 a barrel. Well, I will promise you, if Putin invades Poland or another one, or one of the NATO countries, absolutely you can put it in the bank. We'll be sitting back hoping that we could have $4.20 gasoline, because it will go through the roof, and it will go through the roof not because of what we're doing in West Virginia. We won't have anything to do with it. It will go through the roof 100% because nationally we have become weak in the eyes of a lot of people that are trying to take advantage. We best better listen. We best better get on our way back to energy independence, and that'll take care of our gas prices right now. So that's my thought anyway.
All right, thank you, Bob. Next to Paul Mullen with WCBC.
Good afternoon, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll keep it on the national level for a second and mix it a little bit with COVID. There have been allegations nationally that the CDC gave the National Education Association a little bit of influence over policy that it generated. During this pandemic, Governor, have you been concerned about what's been coming out of the CDC, and if it has been politically motivated at times? And with regard to your own interagency, what kind of influences do you have Who do you talk to outside of the group that we see on the briefings every week? Thank you.
Well, Paul, I'm talking to everybody. You know that. I mean, I'm talking to everybody all the time, and primarily my team of experts, from the standpoint of all the stuff we've gone through with COVID. But Paul, you see what's going on in D.C. I mean, you see it. I mean, for crying out loud, it's terrible. How many inconsistencies, how many things are coming out of the CDC that absolutely are wrong? I mean, just think about West Virginia for just 1 second. I mean, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but in the scope of the entire federal government, the entire government of the United States of America, West Virginia is just a dot. How many bad decisions have you seen come out of West Virginia? How many inconsistencies do you see coming out of West Virginia? And I owe all the credit to the great team that has been around me, the Dr. Marshes and General Hoyers and Dr. Amjad and Bill Crouch and all the people around him, General Crane, all of them that have absolutely done incredible work. Little old West Virginia. What is wrong with our federal government? The inconsistencies out of the CDC are just inexcusable. Inexcusable. Now, and you say, can they be politically motivated? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? They're all politically motivated, and it's a shame. It's a shame, and if we don't get back, and I have said it 1,000 times, all my roots are very conservatively grounded, everything. I absolutely cannot stand these way out in left field ideas and hope dreams. But absolutely, Paul, I would tell you just this, that it's time for this country. It's past time for this country to quit absolutely just lining up all the Republicans over here, all the Democrats are over here, and no matter what anybody says of any kind of logic or reason, we just don't like it because they're Democrats or they're Republicans. It's high time for us to first and foremost be Americans, and we think we're invincible, don't we? We absolutely believe we're invincible. Think about the Soviet Union a few years or decades back when Ronald Reagan said, to Gorbachev, tear down that wall. Who would have ever in the world, and I use the word thunk it, who would have ever on this planet imagined that the Soviet Union that was so high and mighty beyond belief, absolutely, if you go back to when Jimmy Carter was in office, here we were at that point in time, boycotting the Olympics, had a Russian grain embargo going on. Interest rates were at 20%. Absolutely inflation was just runaway out of control. We had 100 hostages in Iran, that were being held captive and everything. We gave back the Panama Canal. I think we deregulated oil and gas at that point in time. So many different things that absolutely the buttons were pushed the wrong way. The Russians had invaded Afghanistan at that time. The Soviet Union was on the march across the world, and absolutely without any question, we were absolutely terrified of what the Soviet Union was going to do, and it crumbled. It crumbled. It crumbled within just a very few years. Now just think about that, Paul. If that can happen, why can't something like that happen to us? We better listen. We better really listen. This absolute infighting for all, that is out of control beyond belief better stop. our reporting of our media of things just to get one up that doesn't have any, journalism in it at all. It needs to stop. We absolutely know better. And with all that, we're risking us, all of us. So Paul, I think politically driven without any question, inconsistencies off the chart, and no excuse to me.
All right, thanks, Paul. Governor, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, look, I didn't expect it to come back right yet, but nevertheless, that's about all I've got. I wish everybody, a happy April Fool's Day. More than anything, I congratulate West Virginia, and I mean that really sincerely. You're doing wonderful, West Virginia. Economically, you're killing it, and without any question, you're managing your way through this pandemic. And the only way that we've been able to do all the things that we've been able to do are just one thing. We've been in this together, and I love it. I mean, I could not be more proud than to have been your governor, but I really don't want anything more than just to be you. That's all there is to it. It's what I've always wanted. I've never, ever deviated from that. You don't see me taking anything in this office, and I never will. I'm not ever going to put myself on a pedestal. I want to be you. I expect you to respect me because I'll always respect you. And we're going to get there, and we're getting there. Please remember all these folks we've lost. 6,835 people. Good people. Lots and lots of wisdom. God bless all of you. Thank you so much.